Hi, my name is Amalia Freedman, and I am the CEO of RDA Consulting. Our goal is to help communities and individuals live their best lives. You know, a professional service firm is its people. I mean, a lot of companies say that they're their people, but we really are. We don't have a product other than what our people do. So when our founder thought about transitioning the organization, I think she thought a lot about legacy, but she also thought about a way to acknowledge and recognize that people are our business. We looked at other options. I think the ease of transitioning into an EOT, I think how open it is for how people enter and exit, really made sense for professional services. We don't expect people to be at RDA for their entire career. I've been here for 14 years, but most of our people are probably going to spend, 5-7 years at RDA. And so that opportunity to move in and move out with ease without a lot of administrative burden was really important, while ensuring that employees have the opportunity to have an immediate benefit from ownership, rather than having to wait for an exit. I think it's an interesting opportunity to wear a lot of hats simultaneously. I came into the organization 14 years ago as a senior consultant. I've been there to help grow the organization. When I came in, we were 11. We're now 32 people. I've helped build various structures within the organization from my background in professional services. Now I am both the CEO and reporting to an employee board. My employees on the board at any moment might have a direct reporting relationship with me, or even 2 levels below me, but they're still my board. And so we have the opportunity to really think about the various hats we're wearing at various times. I think a lot of people might not love that, but I actually welcome it. One of our core values is curiosity. And so even though I tend to be a fairly quick decision maker, I have to think about being curious about my own thinking and what other people might think. It actually feeds very well into an idea of participatory decision making, which is a really strong value in our organization. But I think, remembering that every question comes from somewhere. We all touch different parts of the elephant, and there's important knowledge in every question. And so it's taught me to slow down and really listen to what's behind the question. And I think it is a great opportunity, especially for our early career employees, to really think about how do we manage up, how do we think about something larger than the day-to-day job. Being an employee-owned trust has made us think about hierarchy a lot. Consulting firms, professional services firms are highly hierarchical. You have a team, you have a project manager, you have a practice director, you have a managing director, you have these very, very specific levels that are part of how we see ourselves as consulting firms. And being an employee-owned trust has had us really think about how do we make decisions, how do we share information, how do we create a flatter organization, even with an existing hierarchy. So it's changed how we do budgeting. We do participatory budgeting. So several months before we need a budget, we do department level conversations about what we'd like to see in the coming year. We get input, and at the end of the budgeting process, we give responses on what we included in the budget and what we didn't. That's something that's, I think really helped folks understand how we operate and feel a sense of ownership in how we operate, but it's also allowed us to really gain insight collectively on what people want in the organization. Another thing we do, we're a remote organization. So when we started doing all of these participatory decision-making processes, we really had to think about how we get feedback. And what we really wanted to think about, the various types of people who are involved in a professional services organization. You have the project manager who's, a really quick processor. And then you might have the analyst who it's important for them to think slowly and carefully about the data. And so we developed a process called asynchronous feedback, where when we want staff feedback on an item, or owner feedback, I guess in our new context, we put the information out, usually at a staff meeting or some other way to get everybody on a baseline. And then we have boards open for as long as 3 days or even 2 weeks at times, where people can come back and share their thoughts, and then view what other people have said and create kind of a dialogue that can happen regardless of sort of processing speed, but also regardless of time zone. And that proved to be really important for us as we grew and became more of a national organization, that we aren't asking people to think their best thoughts at the absolute wrong time of the day for them. So that's, I think, I don't know that we would have come up with that if we weren't in EOT. I think our clients are interested. I think they find it really interesting that we're employee-owned. Many of our clients are government or nonprofit organizations. So we're all used to being mission-driven, and EOT sort of adds a little flavor to that. In terms of recruiting, I think it really has been something that people are interested in. We have only been in EOT for about a year. We are also a fairly newly remote organization, so the culture change is actually sometimes hard to pinpoint, but I do know that when we think about the feedback we get on staff meetings and processes, it's had a huge uptick in the last year, from questions that demonstrated a certain maybe not always a lack of insight about how the organization operated, to questions that are far more focused, that pull from information, and feedback that is all around more positive. So we're getting much better sort of feedback around how we operate transparently, which we were hoping for, but we've absolutely seen. Something to think about in terms of how you transition your business is, I think, there's a sense of legacy in an EOT, but there's also a very formal process of valuation, and you're going to get a fair price for your business. I know for our founder that was important, and that's totally fair. Professional services firms are hard to sell precisely because they are the people. You're not buying a product line, and I think it's hard to maintain a culture. There's a lot of roll-up consulting firms, right, that bought firms around the country. I think this is a way to create a legacy around the firm that you've built, and to ensure that your employees are there to keep it going forward.